soldiers. The attack happened around 150 kilometers north of Gao, where German troops are stationed at Camp Castor. They are part of about 13,000 United Nations peacekeeping mission in Mali. Bram Posthumas is a journalist based in Ségou.
Right, as you said in your introduction, the attack took place about 150 kilometers from Gao, which is in the extreme northeast of Mali, about 1,000 kilometers from the capital, Bamako. And particularly this region that we're talking about, Gao, is very, very volatile. It is home to a number of either Al-Qaeda or even Islamic State-related armed groups that have pretty much free hand in this region, in spite of the many patrols that indeed MINUSMA and others are carrying out in that region.
Mali is struggling to contain an Islamist insurgency that erupted in 2012 and which has claimed thousands of military and civilian lives. A tense European Union summit has wrapped up in Brussels after 2 days of heated discussions. Leaders discussed various matters, including economic recovery after the pandemic, but the meeting was overshadowed by disagreements on Russia and Hungary. Most member states expressed strong opposition to new laws passed in Hungary that impact the LGBTQ community there. Meanwhile, a joint Franco-German plan to hold meetings with Russian President Vladimir Putin was shot down. German Chancellor Angela Merkel said she's disappointed the proposal failed.
Some people have taken a very different view of what's been proposed. It doesn't matter whether it's us speaking with the Russian president or it's the US president speaking with him. He didn't offer the Russians any gifts, if I may put it like that. I'm saddened by that because it shows that we don't have the trust amongst ourselves that's needed to know that we do have the self-confidence required to conduct such talks. We need to work on that.
Rescue crews are still searching through rubble that used to be an apartment building in the U.S. state of Florida. It partially collapsed early Thursday. At least 4 people are known to have died, but officials fear this number may rise as more than 150 people are still missing. This news is coming to you from DW in Bonn, Germany. Belarus has moved anti-government journalist Roman Protasevich from prison to house arrest in Minsk. He was arrested in May after the interception of a Ryanair plane on its way to Vilnius from Athens. Authorities in Belarus forced the plane to land in Minsk, where he was taken into custody. And hundreds of pro-democracy protesters have defied a ban on public gathering to rally in Bangkok. They called for a more democratic constitution and criticized the government's response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The marches have resumed after a few months' break. In 2020, Thailand saw protests nearly every day. For more news and information, head on to our website, dw.com/Africa. My name is Jen Nyinge.
Wake up, everybody, no more sleeping in bed. No more backward thinking, time for thinking ahead. The world has changed so very much from what it used to be. There's so much hatred, war and poverty.
Welcome to Soul Star live from the basement of the Phoenix Center for the Arts in the Radio Phoenix Studios. This is Soul Star Live. I'm your host, Calvin Worthen. I'm so excited today. We are going to be jumping right into our Neglected Heart of Soul series to end up our month of celebrating Black music. And then right after that, we're going to have some wonderful guests, these young brothers from the African American Reconstruction Project. We are excited about having this conversation, but we want to definitely cap off with the rest of this wonderful audio from the play. So I hope you enjoy The Neglected Heart of Soul here on Radio Phoenix, where the Valley comes to talk, sing, and connect.
Is everybody all right? I want to share a story with you. Now, way back in the day, I was waiting on the L train in the Chicago subway when I became amused by the graffiti on the wall. You know what I mean, that long, dark, cave-like wall. It was scrawled a bunch of nasty images with all kinds of ugly language and jokes. And then my eyes focused in on something that I never expected to see. Painted in big red letters on that wall, it read, "God is dead. God is dead." And it was signed Nietzsche. My good brothers and sisters, I stopped breathing for a moment. The chill ran up and down my spine. Well, as fate would have it, I left Chicago shortly after that incident to work and to travel and to raise my family. But then one day, over 30 years later, I found myself standing on that same platform, waiting on that same train again. Only this time, the wall was bright and beautiful. Yes, it was. And that was still graffiti, but now it looked like some kind of colorful work of art. And as my eyes searched for that section that had given me the creeps nearly 3 decades before, there was a different message this time. And it read, "Nietzsche is dead." And it was signed by my God.
Here's a song that I wrote about 3 weeks ago. Every once in a while, I like to write something to my creator because I believe in him. We need you right now. There's no one else to turn to but you, yeah. You're the only answer to the situation. That we've gotten ourselves into. So Master, won't you please come down and give us a helping hand, 'cause we need you. We need you right now. There's a lot of people going hungry 'cause they can't get nothing to eat. There's a lot of people going naked. They ain't even got clothes to put on their feet. So Master, said we need you, yes we do. We need you right now. I said man has gotten out of hand with his evil ways, yeah, yeah, yeah. Can't you see that he is destroying us? Just a little bit more each and every day. So master, won't you please come down and give us, Lord have mercy, a helping hand. Hey, 'cause we need you. We need you right now. Right now, Lord. Hey, right now. Say we need you. We need you right now. Hey, we need you. Lord have mercy. Say we need you right now. Hey, right now, Lord. We need you, Lord. Hey, we need you right now. Say we need you, we need you, we need you. We need you right now. We need you right now. Yeah. We need you right now. Yes, we do. We need you right now. Hey, say we need you right now. Hey, say we need you. Yeah, say we need you. Thank you, Lord. Right now. Yeah, yeah.
No more dreaming. It's time to get real. And for all the millions of our descendants, we appeal. The destiny of Africans, once stolen to be slaves, are standing together today and bringing life from those graves. Let's raise these voices and sing a new song. 400 years was far too long. Let's embrace each other in the spirit of Sankofa and tell a new story about how we got over. Here we stand in the winds of change. Truth and justice have come within range, bending but unbound as the hatred abounds. That drumming you hear is how freedom sounds. No more dreaming. It's time to get real. The pain in our hearts is our own to heal. From a manifested destiny long gone astray, a millennial generation shall now lead the way. From the cradle of Africa to the American West, we've lost who we were, but never our quest. Across the Middle Passage, our ancestors came. The faces we wear are still yet the same. So look into our eyes, say our names. We have shed our coats of oppression and shame. Transformed and empowered, we have lost all those fears. We are brand new Africans after 400 years.
Saw that glorious marching band coming down the street. Well, try to imagine with me, if you will, that you were the first to see the band coming down the way, growing bigger and bigger, and your heart pounding harder and harder. It always seemed to me that my heart was in perfect time with the big bass drum. Can you remember how you got that go to glory feeling? A feeling in your heart and in your mind and in your blood that some folk call religion. There are multitudes of people crying because they just won't try to understand. From the book I read, not one but all must follow him. Come and join the magnificent sanctuary band. Singing in a band, talking to the man, bringing in the sheep all over the world as fast as they can. Singing in a band, talking to the man, drop everything you're doing and join the sanctuary band. Revelation. Oh, he's reaching out his hand. He has promised to bring us all salvation. Come and join the magnificent sanctuary band. Singing in a band, talking to the man, bringing in the sheep all over the world as fast as they can. Singing, hey, everybody's marching. Drop everything you're doing and join the sanctuary band.
you soulful peeps out there hearing this broadcast anywhere and everywhere throughout the universe. May the heart of soul music be neglected no more, because his beating heart was in the music he made for us all. And now, our hearts are beating in our remembrance of him. And so, by the power vested in me, in the spirit of Donny Hathaway and every somebody who ever loved him, I now declare us all, henceforth and forevermore, 100% liberated.
Right on, right on. That is the Neglected Heart of Soul, produced by the Arizona Talking Drum Studios here in Arizona. We are so excited to be able to showcase that series. If you haven't heard all of it together, we have all 5 parts that we played on Radio Phoenix. So be able to check it out in the fall here in the Valley. So I want to definitely like stand up and say thank you so much. I'm so excited to have these young men on the show. I want to get them all off of mute so we can get ready to get started here. This is the African American Reconstruction. That's just the organization. This is a project that these young men have started in an effort to be able to, they're going to tell us what it is. So I want to say welcome to Brother Grayson Taylor, Davion Cloud, and Charles Bakia. Welcome to Soul Star Live. Get yourselves off of mute and so that we can talk to the people. What's going on, good brothers? How y'all doing?
Yeah, we're doing pretty good. Thank you for having us on the show today.
Yeah,
Righteous.
man. Glad to be here. Glad to get an invite. Glad to share our message, man. Anytime.
Right on. That's all right. So we want to jump right into the African American Reconstruction Project, this effort, this nonprofit that you all started. My first question is, what was your why? How did this start? What caused you all to take on the burden of, being responsible for bringing up the conversation of, reconciliation and reconstruction for the African Americans?
Well, thanks. First and foremost, thank you, Calvin, for having us on here. I think it's been almost over a year. I think last May 30th is when we actually started. So we got to celebrate our Founders Day about a month ago. So it's been over a year since we've launched. Kind of the first thing that really compelled us to feel like we had to do something was last summer when the killings of George Floyd happened in Minnesota. We were in Arizona at the time, and we'd always been kind of involved, young servant leaders. As far as we can remember, I think Grayson and I served as the president and vice president of our Black Student Union at Brophy College Prep. And so we had always, felt an inkling that we needed to do something. And if not us, then who? Because we were prepared and we were obligated as, young men, young Black men in our positions. So that's kind of first and foremost what led us to feel like we had to do something. So when the killings happened in Minnesota, as you can remember, in Arizona and Phoenix specifically, we witnessed riots, we witnessed protests, we witnessed people who were burning, we witnessed people who were angry that this wasn't the first time. There's been chronologically just slew of violence against Black bodies. So we felt compelled to do something as young people. So when we first started African American Reconstruction, we wanted to do something that had an impact, but we didn't know where to start. Especially as young people, we felt very overwhelmed. So what we did is we reached out to the older people. We reached out to the OGs, and we got some help. So kind of how we started. We were actually Mrs. Taylor, Mrs. Leon Lindrum Taylor, who's helped us. I can't even begin to thank her enough. But when we started African American Reconstruction, we got a team about 11 of us, 7 to 11 of us, me, Grayson, and Davon being one of the co-founders as well. We felt, again, obligated to make a change. And Grayson, you can kind of get into the how we did that.
Yeah, I really wanted to even mention some of the history, leading up to today as to our why too. For me, I was like that. This kind of helped us create our name too, African American Reconstruction, because we look after Civil War, there's a Reconstruction era, and during that time, Black people are still, there's a lot going on against us, a lot of adversity. There's convict leasing. That's something that not too many people are familiar with. And that's when if you had any type of offense and you broke the law, you would be sent back to your plantation on a contract for whatever, like 7 years, 10 years, however long that contract said. And coming out of slavery, not many African Americans knew how to read. So that contract could have said anything. And you're back on that same plantation doing that same work for 50 cents, really. And then you fast forward a little bit, you're doing sharecropping back on that same plantation, making a little bit more money, but not enough to get out of that system. And then you fast forward more to the 30s, 40s, there's people getting beat, lynched every single day, parades for it, Ku Klux Klan running rampant. And then you have the civil rights movement in the 50s, 60s around then. And then we were finally able to get our civil rights desegregation. But then you fast forward even more into the 80s, right? So there's drugs being planted in communities, and those drugs are going into the hands of Black fathers, right? So they're selling these drugs out to the community, getting caught, getting put in jail. There's the 1994 crime bill and everything. And while these fathers are going to jail, those kids are growing up into the 90s. You have gang violence everywhere, and you see what happens when people grow up without fathers trying to prove themselves to other people. And then really looking at the timeline, we're in 2021 right now. That's not that long ago. Those people doing the gang violence and everything, they're fathers today. So you can see how that has affected us over time. So that's why we need our Reconstruction era right now. That hence the name African American Reconstruction.
Righteous. Brother Davon, you want to share something about how you got in start? How did it start with you, good brother?
I can say for me, it really started when I was young. Like on a personal level, one thing I always thought was crazy was just like, I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. It's just because my head was kind of different. Like 4th, 5th grade, I'm going to the library and reading about Marcus Garvey and W.B. Du Bois. Those are two of my favorite guys. People like, or learning about Black Wall Street. And a lot of the schools that I went to were mostly white schools because my parents didn't want to send me to the inner city schools because they already knew what that was like. My dad had grew up on the South Side. My mom was from California and she moved out here. So she knew how everything went and how bad stuff could get. So I was going to predominantly white schools. And it was just, I think that's where my pride for myself and my community kind of started, just because everybody was trying to beat me down. So I guess that can kind of start with the roots, how I kind of got involved with AAR. I met Grayson first at ASU. He was running track at the time and we would see each other in the mornings and we would just chop it up. And instantly I knew like, okay, bro, his head is in a good place. So that turned into, first, I remember first talking to him about Breonna Taylor. When I heard about Breonna Taylor and just hearing, that they pretty much just kicked the door in on a false warrant. And she ended up being murdered and the boyfriend ended up being convicted for protecting himself, which they say we got the right to bear arms, supposedly. And then that happened and I called Grayson like, bro, because originally we were saying just to create like maybe like a little youth group just to mentor kids. And that's how we were kind of talking about that. And then Breonna Taylor happened. I remember calling him like, bro, we got to do something. Like everybody, I think the biggest thing too with AAR, when we wanted to create a group full of strong people was coming back to George Floyd. When he died, we saw a lot of social media activism. I'm not a big fan of social media activism at all. It's easy to like a post. It's easy to share a post. I remember one thing that was going around was like the black screen thing. And I'm not saying those are not their own revolutions in itself. We need people in the streets. We need people who are going to be on the front lines. We need people who are going to be in those lunch lines. We need people who are going to be at those shelters. So I think that's what really drove AAR, being action-based. The biggest thing that I preach here in AAR is put the work in and everything else is going to come to us. A lot of times we get backtracked in, social media, building the brand, blah, blah, blah. But as long as we, doing what we can for the community and keeping them in our minds first, we never gonna lose. So it just always fit in with me, man. And I think I really want to thank Grayson, Charles, and everybody else in AAR. I always thank the team just because this has always been my dream, man, since 6 years old, 7 years old, grown up with this mindset of Black pride and not growing up in an environment where you're seeing that. So the fact that I've been able to create this and find purpose for this, man, it's crazy love. So thank y'all, everybody who's watching too. Thank y'all for tuning in. But yeah, man, it's kind of
Hey, look, man, y'all have already floored me. I'm ready to throw the towel in. I'm feeling good about passing on mantles right now. So let me fresh y'all up real quick. So y'all on a Black radio station, a Black owned show, and we trying to keep it in a sense, we want to keep it Black and keep it positive. So I'm excited to have this conversation with you all on a Black owned radio station, on a Black owned show. And this group right here, Desert Soul Media, is going to be behind y'all 100%, good brothers. So I need that second question answered. I need to know what kind of research went into developing this organization and what are the principles? I know on the back of the T-shirt, Brother Grayson, I saw there was some lettering. So give me the principles and what kind of research did y'all do to create this organization? It's a 501c3, right? Y'all done went through the whole process. Y'all everything official, right?
Sure. Yeah. So just to go off that question right there, our mission in this organization is to make sure, that we have that necessary Reconstruction era for the Black community. And just some of our pillars, just going off of that, we have economic development. We want to make sure that we're balancing the economic disparity. We want to make sure that there's equal justice, political equity, equitable public education, and making sure that there's avenues for affordable and available healthcare. So those are some of the pillars that we have right now. And the research going into it, first of all, we have our own firsthand experience being African Americans in this United States here. There's a lot of adversity that we face every day, a lot of adversity that we see other African Americans face. And just with the research, Davon touched on this earlier and Charles did too. We reached out to the OGs of the community, Senator Leah Landrum Taylor, Mr. Clovis Campbell. They all gave us the keys to really capitalize on certain initiatives. Like what we have right now is our African American Agenda and Handbooks. It's a 25-page document, and there's a handbook on each pillar that we have. So political equity, there's a lot of different policies that we want that we want to see implemented. And through our handbooks, we were able to host 2 forums, our Black Candidates Forum, where all the African American candidates in Arizona hopped on to talk about our agenda and handbooks, and also the General Election Candidates Forum, where we have presidential candidates, congressional, Senate, local and county races here in the Valley, just all hop on and talk about the African American agenda and handbooks. And that ultimately, led to the population being educated on who's going to be there for the Black community. And we were honored by the Arizona Commission of African American Affairs with our founder and chair award. I got that with us right here. Our first award. Yeah.
All right, bro.
So with that too, we were able to connect more with the community and build partnerships. So we have the Arizona African American Commissions, the Arizona African American Christian Clergy Coalition, and the Arizona Coyotes have reached out to us. We have really good support so far. Arizona Informant as well. So those are some of the partnerships that we've made from that.
Righteous, man. I am here. You are listening to Soul Star Live, and these brothers right here with the African American Reconstruction. I'm so excited here. Brother Grayson, Brother Charles, and Brother Davon are here on the show giving us the business. So you said that there is a handbook, and we're going to take a quick break because we got to pay the bills. But I want to talk about that handbook when we get right back. This is Soul Star Live on Radio Phoenix. You take care. We'll be right back right after this break.
Thank you.
When we met, always knew I would feel that magic for you on my mind.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
girl from Galloway will play you out. Callaway? Who got Callaway?
Deal and Ardo Calloway. Thank you. That's right here on Soul Star Live. Welcome Black, welcome Black, welcome Black. Man, I'm telling you, man, this is all right. We are excited to be in this conversation here. I don't even know, when you had mentioned this handbook, brother, this educational piece, man, I'm telling you, give me some details of like what went into that. And I love the idea about educating and informing the people because that's where I know that we are lacking. We're lacking in the information. So give me some. You talked about the equity piece, the political equity. Is that local? Is that national? Is that Give me some information on what kind of education are we giving out in that handbook?
So really, and kind of going into kind of what sparked us even making handbooks. A lot of the times, like Charles kind of hinted on it too, we saw a lot of riots, we saw a lot of protests, and some of them were planned, some of them were. And we caught a lot of flack because some of our representatives were like, hey, these protests are a different kind of revolution, but what happens when the protest is over? What happens when everybody go home, when all the smoke clear, all the social media posting is done? So really, a lot, and we kept in mind, a lot of work has been put into, when we talk about Reconstruction, a lot of work has been put into reconstructed businesses, reconstructed buildings, reconstructed businesses in America. But a lot of the times, Black people catch the falls when we're at the bottom, and not a lot goes into reconstructing those communities and those people. One thing that's big that we saw with that was like the crack epidemic. They pretty much flew crack in here, dumped it off in the community. It was just like, we figure it out. We're gonna give y'all a little SSI and some food stamps or whatever, but y'all gotta figure out the rest. So really it just came down to planning. Quick shout out to the African American Commission and the Clergy Commission too. They had a 2019 edition of the African American Agenda along with Leah Landrum Taylor and some other people in office. And we just added our own kind of mix onto it for the 2020 version. So I know you kind of hinted on political equity. Even though that's Mr. Grayson, Mr. Grayson is looking around for office one day. We just saw that part of the fight, like I said, was going to be in the streets, and another fight was going to be in the White House. Black people don't really like to talk about politics and mandating policies, and I was honestly one of those people. I wasn't lie. But after we held our first candidate forum, I saw that these people who are running for the school board and who are running for the local races, this is somebody's grandma, this is somebody's auntie. So me kind of being a rebel how I am, I don't really like to believe too much in the system and believing on people. Like certain things is gonna get stuff done for us. I always believe that the people are the only way that we're gonna get out of situations. So with political equity, it always came down to making sure that whether we put people in AAR in positions to be in power, or I don't even want to see them be in power, but be in position to make change, or we just promote that. And with the candidates forums that we had, that was the information that we were giving out. These are the people that are running for office. Here's what they also were required to read our handbooks and to respond to those. So the questions were all formed around the handbooks and what we did. So really each one goes into depth about what the committee or what each committee sees that needs to be changed in the community, given the whatever the pillar is, and also how are we going to do that. So if you guys want to check those out too, we'll have those available to the public too. But yeah, man, it really just came down to planning and having plans that were going to last for years to come. And like I said, we're still a new group, first year business in, and we're still making amendments and we're still making changes based on things we see. But our biggest thing was just coming up with a plan and coming up with a solid foundation that will last years to come. Because with the Black community right now, that's our biggest problem. We don't have safety nets, and the plans that we do have, once they fall through, we don't have enough contingencies. And of course, we live in America, so money is backing everything. So when you don't have a plan and you don't have money in America, it's hard to get things done. So the handbooks was the first step in us getting that solidified plan done, and we're still amending those. So yeah, man.
That's righteous. Brother Grayson, Brother Charles, I want to say anything about these handbooks?
Yeah, I'd love to add on with the handbooks. Like I said, it's a 25-page document. but it's very well written. It's very good and everything. But at the same time, that's not what we want. That's not our end goal. These are just little baby steps to get to that end goal. Our vision is to make the African American community self-sufficient. That's the main part of the Reconstruction. We don't want to be depending on government handouts, and we want to make sure our dollar circulates. So that with that, we want to make sure that we have in the future Black-owned plazas rented out to Black-owned businesses and neighborhoods, get into real estate, figure out how we can help the African American community. And we also want to have community centers, schools in the future. So this is all stuff that we're trying to work up to. But right now, we're taking care of the baby steps right now, getting good at one thing before we capitalize on everything else. Yes, sir.
Thank you for that, Grayson. And I thought that was beautiful. We've kind of been talking about the handbooks, and we've talked a little bit more about it. But kind of at the end of the day, right? When all is said and done, when all the politicians go home, we're left with our community, right? So we figured very early on that in order to actually make an actual change, we have to start with the youth, right? Which starts by setting an example with the youth. And so that's kind of why we're here, right? And then two, we have to impact the youth. So we want to focus when, at the end of the day, politics is politics, right? But we want to focus on impacting the youth. And that's why we have a very action-based agenda, impact-based agenda. So that's kind of why we this summer in July, we're going to do our teen conference. What that looks like, we're going to be inviting about 30 to 50 young African-American youth into a space at George Gavin Prep in Arizona, where we've invited amazing African-American speakers and teachers and educators, teaching about wealth, teaching about financial literacy, teaching about impacting. And so that's kind of our vision is to start where it matters, starting where it really matters. We can talk politics all we want. I'm a global politics major. I love talking about politics, but at the end of the day, if you really want to see the actual real change, we got to start with our youth and educating our youth. And so that's why we're doing our teen conference.
So let me make sure I get that right. That is the African American Reconstruction Teen Conference, July 12th through the 14th. That's 2021 at the George Gervin Preparatory Academy. And it's for grades 7 through 12. And they got some keynote speakers here, man. I'm seeing y'all got some big names here. You got my main man, Jevin Hodge. We interviewed him during his election cycle last November. That's a good brother, man. Y'all got some good people on here. Levi Wallace of the Buffalo Bills, Correro Murray, and Dr. Tara Karuma Nkrumah, and then Miss Leah Landrum Taylor. Y'all put together a little hit list there for this particular situation, man. So how do youth, what do they got to go and sign up? How do we get the babies to get there?
So on that sign up flyer, we have a sign up link that people can put into their web browser. But on that flyer, there's also a QR code that people can scan. It'll take them right to the Eventbrite. And just some more things to note, this conference is completely free. We believe that we have, when it's something good like this, people shouldn't have to pay for it. So it's going to be free. Food's going to be included all 3 days. It's going to be 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. If parents want to stay and listen in, they're welcome to as well. And we want to make sure that we get, up to 50 signups for sure. Right now we're at 15. So there's plenty of space for people around the Valley to sign up and join this conference.
All right, that sounds good. We'll make sure that we put a link to the flyer in our description of this video or something too. We'll get the people the information as well. Thank you for that. So, man, this is super exciting in terms of the effort you all are taking in. So how, when this is all gross and you've got a team of people in there and you've got young people, you got the OGs and the elders in there, how are you going to get the resources to the people? Are there any ideas in terms of what does the hands-on work look like in getting actual resources to businesses, getting resources to entrepreneurs, or finding these investors to be able to support these efforts in terms of You know, much like the Jewish community has a policy where they give loans out to their own people at 0%. Are there any efforts like that where you're going to be connecting with businesses and organizations to where the people who need the resources aren't going to fall short because of the same kind of businesses practices that we have because of capitalism?
Okay, so one of the things that Sparks now, kind of don't want to speak too much about it because I honestly believe in speaking on things when they're done more than when they're in the works. But we've been talking about how can we get Black businesses together in a space and really promote the idea of working together in a sense of everybody wants to be the best at what they do. There's nothing wrong with being ambitious, but we're at a point in our community where we need to be like this. And it starts with the businesses, but that's one of the main reasons that's one of the main ways we're getting Black capital in. One of the people that we work with a lot is Kerwin Brown. He's a big guy in finance, also Veda manager, ex-executive at Nike. He's working with his own management group now. So these two guys are really the main people we tap in with information about financial literacy or just figuring out financials. And one thing is FDIC. So FDICs are pretty much loan programs that certain banks hold to where you can get a loan pretty much for a lower rate or at a lower interest rate. We also promote a lot working with more credit unions than big banks because there's a lot more stuff in that, especially when it goes to loans. But as far as implementing things and getting people, I'm a big believer in we never gonna go nowhere until the people realize their power, until Black people realize their power. One thing I always promote, and I just talked about it on my Instagram, was Black people don't realize the influence that we really have on coaching. You know, we promote it a lot and we talk about it a lot, but look around you. And a lot of Black men and women in Arizona, look around you. Your culture is everywhere. You got to start accepting that. And I feel like once we start taking the pride back to ourselves, taking the culture back for ourselves, that's going to come back into our mindset. When you believe that your hair is beautiful and your skin is beautiful and your heritage is beautiful, you believe your people are beautiful. So if you believe your people are beautiful, you'll invest in your people. So it's definitely, you know, it sounds good and dandy, but it just really comes down to people putting in the work too. Like like I keep preaching that about AAR, just you got to put in the work before you can see results. So as far as investors and people coming in, that's definitely something that we think about, but that's never more important than getting in the community. And like the team conference is a big thing from that because that's our biggest thing. We wanted to make sure we were actually holding an event for kids and doing something that really mattered instead of, oh, come follow us on Instagram, or, you know, here's our donor day and we're getting money and blah, blah, blah. And we're coming out with merch now. But like that stuff is other things more because we're in the social media age and that's how we promote. But really more people got to put in work. And I'm calling people out all summer, all next year, especially Black youth. I'm 20 years old. We're coming up 2021. We're mostly based in Tempe. A lot of us went to ASU. Y'all don't want to put in work for whatever reason. I don't understand. And to be able to see all this stuff in the post about it and to be able to do all of that, I got questions for people like, where's your head really at? Are you really just trying to sit on the sidelines and just talk about the situation you're trying to put work in? And I'm coming with all love when I say this because I understand people's situations is different and it's fear along with that. But we never gonna get nowhere as long as we got that fear in us. So I always push people to be their best, and I always push young Black men and women to just promote that pride in any way they can. We work with a lot of younger people. I know, shout out to Boundless Blacklist. That's also a new group that we came up with and linked up with. But it all comes down to just the self-love for Black people and putting that back into the community. Investors, all that other big stuff, that's the technicalities. We got to get back to loving our people and loving ourselves, man, end of the day.
That's righteous, man. That's what we need to hear. We got to definitely hear about that love, man. We got to hear about that love, man. I'm really excited that you all want to reach out to the youth. So give me an example, like what is a 7th through 12th grader going to be experiencing? I mean, it's going to be keynote speakers, but they're going to be like workshops and activities. What's happening at the conference?
So we've got some workshops. We're working on some icebreakers. Also, I'm trying to see if we can get a little basketball tournament in the works because I don't care if you're 7th, 8th grade, you still gonna have to get dunked on. I'm sorry, you still gonna have to do it. I'm just playing. I can't dunk. I'm out here capping on y'all. But really, one of the biggest ones and one of my favorite ones that we're holding with Dr. Nkamura is Theater of the Oppressed. often when you talk about Black issues and Black subjects, it's hard to tell them like, I feel pain about police brutality or I feel fear about something like this. But if you actively ask someone to physically express that, it takes a different shape. So really, that's one of the workshops that we're going to be holding. One of the ones that we like to highlight. So you get everyone. It doesn't necessarily have to be a circle, but you get everyone in the space, and you talk about, well, what does liberation look like? And instead of speaking those words, you physically act them out with your body. So that's something that I think was really creative that Dr. Nkamura came up with. But I also think that it's a level of interactive that will catch people's minds, because we told our speakers, you can't come on some, oh, PowerPoint, blah, 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 1, 2, 3, and get it done. These have to be meaningful because we're working with teens. So that's one that I wanted to highlight and one that I think will be really good. And this will probably answer the question for a lot of people who wonder, like, what's going to be coming on for the conference. We're working around stuff like that.
Yeah, I'd also like to add on for this one too. So another workshop that, like, this whole conference is going to be, tailored to suit our pillars, all 5 of them. So we're going to have a workshop on politics, and then we're also going to have one on faith and finding your purpose. And we, like, in the Black community, it's really important for us to stay grounded in our faith. The Lord has brought us out through a lot of different things, a lot of adversity. So it's definitely important to be sure to honor him through everything that we do. So we're going to make sure we have a workshop on that. We're going to have a workshop on finance and financial literacy, and then also one for healthcare. So those are some of the things that the kids are going to be able to learn about during this 3-day conference. And then, of course, we're going to have the 3 great guest speakers, NFL players, Emmy Award winners, politicians, everything. So it's going to be great.
That's righteous. That's righteous. That's righteous. So we only have about 2 minutes left. Please give us the social media handles. Where can we follow? Where can we follow up? What's the websites? What's all that information that we can go and make sure that we can keep up with you, and youth can find out more about this conference?
Yes. So you guys, sorry about that. You guys can go ahead, and if you're listening right now on your phones, you can go ahead and search up on Instagram. That's kind of where we focus mostly on as far as promoting. You can search up African American Reconstruction on Instagram. Again, that's all one word, African American Reconstruction on Instagram. That's kind of where we stay posted. Grayson, you can kind of get into donor stuff.
Yeah, so we also have our PayPal donation link too, which will be attached in this video too. So, you can make a donation of whatever amount. We're appreciative of it, and it's going to go a long way. And if you follow us on Instagram, you'll see how that donation dollar is put into action. So on that PayPal link, there's an option to do monthly donations. So if you want to donate $5 a month, that'll definitely help our cause, or however much you're willing to donate. So please be sure to do that, because we're going to need some help.
That's righteous. That's righteous. Thank you so much, Brother Charles, Brother Davon, and Brother Grayson for coming on Soul Star Live. Thank you again. Soul Star Live is a production of Desert Soul Media. Our executive producer is Kaja Brown. Our senior producer is Aquila Worthen, and I'm your host and also supervising producer, Calvin Worthen. You can follow me at Calvin J. Worthen _Big Calvin on Instagram, and Desert Soul Media and Radio Phoenix on Instagram. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great week. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Close to the beat, ooh, giving me silence. Promise that you won't let me fall. Holding me tight, loving me right, giving me life all night. You could be telling me lies, making me cry, wasting my time the whole time. So just be careful.